Welcome back to Bull Sessions here on 680 KFEQ. Got a question that you want Brad to answer on the show? Got an idea for the show? Email the guys at bull@willcross.net. Now, here's Randy Baker and agronomist Brad Law.
Okay, we're back again. Interesting conversation there.
Yes, rotational grazing is very interesting.
It is.
And, it sounds like something where you can get more forage and you can, maybe make some more money than just
deer.
turning, and you're getting big deer in the pasture.
Yeah,
so,
and how their grazing patterns are.
It's all one big ecosystem, Randy.
It is.
And we're trying to just wrap everything. We've talked about water. We've talked about weeds. We've talked about soil fertility. We've talked about the small town communities.
Dr.
Seuss.
We're putting a puzzle together.
Now,
Yes.
Dr. Zeus, I think, is a Greek mythologist.
Yeah, Zeus
Yeah, that's what it is.
He's a Greek god.
Yeah, Miles.
Oh,
But-
okay, there you
See,
go.
Miles is smart.
Okay, you've got
I'm
to
not
focus
used to
on the
that.
farmer
Focus on the farmer.
from Cosby, Missouri.
Cosby, America. And this focus is on the Schneider family. And I bet almost everybody out there has heard of a Schneider. They're a lot of them out there.
They're everywhere.
They are. This one in particular is Mark and his wife Susan. They've got a son, Jacob, who is working on the farm as well. I went to high school with Mark.
I'll make sure I send him a condolence
And so
card.
he was a year behind me, so he's younger, and he likes to make me aware that he's younger. But been a customer for years. They do a wonderful job. And something else about the Schneider family.
Okay.
They are one of only 5 families still dairying in Andrew County.
Now, that is pretty cool.
It is.
It's sad, but it's also pretty cool that they've made it.
4th generation, I
Fourth
believe Mark told me
generation.
he was. 4th generation dairyman.
That is neat.
It is. They've got some stock cattle, quite a bit of row crop. His dad is Ron, and his mom is Marla Jean. I've known them a long time. Larry and Vicky is Ron's brother. A lot of you might remember the LaRon processing
Yes.
plant over there.
Down at LaRon's.
And then it burnt. Had a fire, it burnt, and they just never redone it. I think that's getting a little, with all the other farm activities, it was just getting to be too much.
Well, it sounds like they've got a lot going on down there.
They do. They're a wonderful farm family, just like what we always talk about, what they're about. It's just generational, small town, go to church on Sundays, the real deal.
All right. Well,
We love it. Hats off. We love the Schneider family, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Well, and if you, our listeners out here, if you have a farmer you would like to promote and say, hey, you guys need to focus on that farmer, focus on that family farm, send us an email, bull@willcross.net. Give us a call up at the Seed House, or even stop in and see us. And you can harass Randy and I, and we'll
I'll be
focus.
working hard. You will probably not be as much.
I'll be watching YouTubes with my feet up on the desk. So, Well, let's go back to a guy that is here talking to us about rotational grazing from down in Arkansas, and got some cattle in Oklahoma. We're just going national here, Randy.
We are.
We're getting
going
all spread out.
big time.
All right, Doug, can you hear us?
I got you, man.
All right. Well, we haven't run you off yet. Let's see. I think you were telling me that you had some words of advice to people, and some something about some calves and going under fences and all that you'd tell people that are looking into setting up a rotational grazing system.
Yeah, it's different strokes for everybody. Rotation's not for everybody, but, the guys that are interested, you just really need to approach it with an open mind. The fences that we run, the voltage will run between 3,000 and 8,000 volts in that single strand, so it's not terribly hot unless you're wet. You having to reach down to grab a wire and a post, which you shouldn't do. But I don't recommend testing the fence that way, but just trust me, that's hot. Probably the first thing you'll see, and I know with the cattle owner here, when we first started doing this, the babies would go, and it was not uncommon for babies to go a half mile under fence away from the herd and come see what I'm doing on the tractor. you know.
Oh,
So they're
yeah.
going to get out and they're going to go, and then he freaks out, oh, the calf's not going to get back to mama. Well, you got to look at the nature of the animal. That calf knows where mama is. He knows where he's at, and he's likely out there chasing green grass ahead of the herd. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. So if your baby calves want to go and creek graze in and under the fence, that's fine. If you've got one that wants to get out, sometimes the best punishment is for them to go back across the hot fence and get in with the herd. These animals, once you start doing this, they want to stay together. Nobody wants to be left behind.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
And if you got one that just keeps breaching the fence, well, you know, that's what trailers and auction markets are for.
Yeah.
So we
yeah.
usually don't have problems with breaching. And like I said, the best thing is really to have an open mind about it and not worry. And then as far as guys wanting to get into it, you know, just starting out, you need to educate yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And probably one of the best references that I have, it's the holistic grazing planner offered by the Savory Institute. You used to be able to download it online. Now you may have to buy it, but that's just, you know, it's a wonderful book to sit down there and learn about planned grazing.
What's it called
And
again?
then it's called the Holistic Grazing Planner.
Okay.
And that's offered by the Savory Institute. You know, Alan Savory's behind that movement.
Okay.
And I've got to meet some of those guys, you know, at various, I go to some conferences across the country. I'll pick one or two a year and go. And, you know, you meet some great people there, great resources. You know, like I've got one guy or two that I probably talk to weekly. You know, we just met there and hit it off. And we just, you know, if I'm on the road or something, pick up the phone and start talking cattle.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, on YouTube, you're starting to get more videos about grazing and, you know, planned grazing, mob grazing, you know, all the buzzwords and all that. Well, a guy probably doesn't need to start out like that. You know, start out with a moderate stocking rate and put you in a few pastures and start moving these herds according to the recovery time needed for the forage you're wanting to promote.
Mm-hmm.
And make sure that it's fun for you to do this. Make sure the herd's having fun. And then, you know, once it's going well and you like it, start adding more paddocks and start decreasing those grazing days, giving longer recovery time.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep playing with it. You know, the NRCS guys asked me one time, he said, if you got to give advice to anybody, what would that be? And I said, well, if you're looking out there across your pasture one day and you don't like what you see in front of you, the best thing to do is change your grazing.
Mm-hmm.
Give a chance for those forages to fully recover. And that's honestly the best thing that we ever did as far as the cattle and the wildlife. You know, that cow herd is an amazing tool if you will just use them properly.
Wow. Okay.
So where are you headed? You know, we're into 2017. Where are you headed? What's your plan going on into the future?
Well, I guess right now I'm still, you know, doing the same things I've been doing, and that I monitor the forage and what I'm looking at there, because I don't own these cattle. You know, I'm just responsible for the grazing, and I get paid to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to monitor the pasture. I don't want to blow up my pasture, so I monitor my pastures. I'm looking at the grazing take. I'm looking at the grazing days for each pasture, you know, based on the size, the recovery days needed, the soil conditions, the plant diversity, and what changes in fences I got to, you know, need to make for next year. Maybe I had some fence wrong and they didn't work out during the winter, you know, and I've got to go back and change that for next year. And then when at the cattle, I'm looking at manure first. I want to know what that manure looks like, its color, its consistency, the particle size in it. I want to look at the fill on those cattle. Are they getting full when we move them? What are they eating first?
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to look at their body condition.
Now, you told me
we've got to maintain body condition.
Uh-huh.
Now, you told me one time when I actually sent you pictures of cattle manure, and I know it was weird taking pictures of cattle manure to send to another guy, but we talked about like a cobblestone road when several guys, you know, the cattle have been eating hay around the hay rings, and they go and pull in, and it's so rough because that manure pile is like a rock out there and froze. What does a good manure pile look like? You know, what should it look like out in the pasture?
Well, everybody just got through the holiday season, and you probably ate your favorite pie. Could have been chocolate, could have been pecan, which I happen to like really well. It could have been pumpkin. Hey, I'll put that second on the list. But we want a pie consistency, a manure pad about as thick as a pie, kind of dished out, you know, a little bit in the center there. We don't want that real loose, runny stuff where you're afraid to you stand behind a cow, and we don't want that stuff that's stacked up to knee high. Anything in there, about a 3, maybe a little bit higher on a scale of 5 is about what you want. And that tells you that cow they're getting adequate fill, and they're getting adequate quality in that diet. And when the hay comes, I can tell when the hay comes out, because I've got so accustomed to looking at manure, because that manure everything turns dark in the whole pasture. And by that time of year, it's not any bahia grass. It's another grass that'll turn manure dark in the summer, but in the wintertime, it's not growing. And so when the hay comes out, I can tell, what the cattle are doing based on that. And you can read manure on that same way, but and our manure in the wintertime, it doesn't last in the pastures. The wild turkeys will come through and they'll scratch through that and spread it out. Then you've got crows and you've got red-headed vultures. So, there's no need to harrow.
All right. Well, that was educational, Doug.
That was educational,
and
Doug.
I'm sure some people are going to be interested in that, and with the visual and everything. And I greatly appreciate all the time that you spent to help us put this show together.
Okay, Doug. Right. Well, thank you very much for coming on today. We're going to have to wrap it up now, and maybe we can get you back on sometime soon.
All right. I'd love to talk about grazing and cattle.
Okay,
I
Bradley.
Thank you guys, and I appreciate your time.
You betcha. Okay, Brad. Interesting.
All right.
At least the last part. Okay, new year. We're moving forward with bull sessions. We're moving forward with farming, and all good. And that's what my Bible verse is. It's Philippians 3:12 through 14, pressing toward the goal. Not that I have already attained or am already perfected, but I press on, that I may lay hold of that which Christ Jesus has also laid hold of me. Brethren, I do not count myself to have apprehended, but one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forward to those things which are ahead. I press toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. We got to keep moving on.
Moving on.
Don't look back.
And we'll see everybody next week.
We're going to see everybody next week. We're going to see you again, me again. Thanks to Miles, we're still on the air. So we'll see you next week on another edition of 680 KFEQ.
Thanks for joining us for Bull Sessions, brought to you by NeCo Seed. Randy and Brad will be back next Saturday morning, tackling more topics from farming to livestock, soil to seed, farm equipment to rural life. So be sure to join us next Saturday morning, same time for Bull Sessions, right here on 680 KFEQ.